What's up guys, my name is Liam, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Mchose A5 Pro Max. This is a shape that's very similar to the Logitech G Pro Superlight. So is this going to be the perfect gaming mouse for you? Let's check it out. And before we get started today, I did want to let you know this was sent out to me by Mchose. However, everything you're going to be hearing in this video today is going to be my own words and my own opinions. There are three different versions of this mouse. There is the first one, which is the original A5 that has the Nordic 52833 sensor in it, and it also has a 300 milliamp hour battery. The weight on it comes in around 56 grams, but is only capable of doing the maximum pulling rate of 1K. So if you don't mind the 4K, I'd recommend checking that one out. It does come in at $39.99. And then the other two versions are the A5 Pro and the A5 Pro Max. They're both the same thing basically. They have a 500 milliamp hour battery. The one difference, however, is that the Pro Max does have the functionality of using Bluetooth, to where the Pro does not have Bluetooth. So if you don't use Bluetooth, you'll be fine going with the A5 Pro. It still gives you the option to purchase the 4K receiver separately, and the A5 Pro comes in at $49.99. The receiver is $12.99, and if you're looking to get the Bluetooth with the A5 Pro Max, that comes in at $56.99. But both the A5 and A5 Pro Max are using the Nordic 52840 in it. And included in the box, you do get the mouse, obviously, an instruction manual, also includes this USB-C cable, and it comes with a dongle adapter. Here's the 1K receiver that it comes with, and you also do get a set of these premium grips. If you decide to pick up the 4K dongle, here's what it looks like. USB-C connectivity, and it does have a rubberized bottom so it doesn't slide around on your desk. So starting off over at the bottom, really simple stuff. You switch it up to turn on the 1K receiver or the 4K receiver, put it back in the middle to turn it off. And since the Pro Max does have the Bluetooth capability, you can just switch it down if you want to enable the Bluetooth mode. Over here, you do have your DPI button, and it does have a pretty good skate design in my opinion. One thing that is really unique about this is you can remove the bottom skate, and this is where you store the dongle for the 1K receiver. I didn't really know how I felt about this at first, and to be honest with you, I did play around with this quite a bit and I messed around with it. This removable part down here, I was pushing it in my mouse pads really hard as I was gaming with it, so I was kind of afraid that this would get loose and move around. But so far, I have not had an issue with that at all. It's been really solid and it works really good. The one thing, however, is if you are looking to take this apart and mod it, which I did, the unfortunate thing is I thought that this was probably a cool design to remove this part without having to take off the bottom skate to open up the mouse. But the one unfortunate thing is that it still does have two screws up here in the front. So if you did want to actually open this up, you do have to peel off this top skate. And when it comes to stock skates, I'm really not a fan of these black style skates. They did feel a bit slower and a little bit more muddy than something that I'm used to, like the white 100% PTFE skates. The shell integrity for me has been really solid. I don't get any type of creaking, flexing, bending, anything like that. So all around really good stuff. Also, this is not using any type of a coating on it. This is just some type of a straight plastic injection mold, and it is really smooth to the touch. So I did find at times if I got my hands wet on a glass, so if you have sweaty hands, or if my hands just were really dry, that it did feel a little bit more slippery to me. So if you don't like to use grips on your mouse, that is one downside, but it does come with the grips if you are interested in throwing those on here. This is using the Huano blue shell pink dot switches in it, and they feel really good. They're nice and lightweight. There is just a slight bit of play with the pre-travel there, and the post-travel isn't too bad if you're pressing in the middle of the switch. Once you do get up towards the front, you do get a little bit more of the pre-travel and post-travel, and this can actually make contact with the bottom shell. But the switch implementation all around, it does feel really good. It does get heavier if you're to play more towards the back using some type of a fingertip grip, but this doesn't have the issue that the Logitech G Pro Superlight does. Once you start getting more towards the scroll wheel, if you're to push down really hard, I wasn't getting any massive teetering or popping or feeling like mouse button 1 was going to shoot off of the shell. And same thing on mouse button number 2. I do get slightly a little bit more play, but all around they feel pretty good for the most part. There's not a whole lot of play side to side, as you can see there. not a whole lot of teetering either. So in general, they feel really well. And when it comes to the scroll wheel, it does have slightly defined steps. They're a little bit lighter. And then when you actually do press down on the center scroll wheel, it does feel a little bit tight and a little quiet, but I didn't have any issues with the use of it in my gameplay. I'm getting a little bit of variance when it comes to the side buttons. On the front side button, there's almost no pre-travel and very little post-travel after you press it in. There's not a whole lot of play side to side, and people keep asking me to do a side button press from the back up to the front. There's not a whole lot of rocking, and they do feel pretty solid no matter where you press it from. But I'm getting some variance here on the rear side button. I get a little bit more pre-travel, and after I push it in, you do get a little bit more post-travel. But with how the side buttons are designed, whether I push it from the very back or the very front, again, I'm not getting a whole lot of teetering or tilting on them. So overall, my experience using this has been really good. So let's go ahead and drop the click and quality sound check. When it comes to the weight and balance, like I mentioned earlier, this does come with a 500 milliamp hour battery, and it is sitting at 59 grams. And since I did enjoy using this mouse, I went ahead and jumped the gun and decided to go ahead and mod it. So I actually took out the 500 milliamp hour battery, and I threw a 150 milliamp hour battery in here, and it dropped the weight down to 52 grams even. That is with the stock skates that it comes with. So I'm sure if you're throwing some dot skates or something like that, you could probably get it closer to or possibly right underneath 50 grams. And the performance has been working great. This is using the Compex firmware solution. It does also use the similar software as a lot of the other mice out there. So after I set the bounce setting down to 0 milliseconds, I came over here, adjusted my DPI, set my polling rate to 4K, and then the last thing to do is I just recommend coming over to this settings tab and enabling this long distance mode to ensure you're getting a stronger signal and the best 4K experience possible. And when it comes to the shape, this is really similar to the Logitech G Pro Superlight. It is just a hair smaller, so it's a little bit shorter, it's just a slight bit more narrow, but the one big difference about it is the height of it. It does feel pretty much like a flatter G Pro Superlight. So let's go ahead and throw these up against each other so you can see what I'm talking about. Again, coming over here at the bottom, when I put these together and I touch the very center point, again, the Superlight just feels like it's a hair bit wider, but it honestly really is hard to tell on the width. And if you look at the side curve profile, they look incredibly similar to one another, if not identical. Coming over to the rear here is where you can see a little bit of the difference. The top curve profile from the top to the sides is a little bit different just because of the additional height of the G Pro Superlight. But when you're holding these in the hands at the top, they don't feel that far apart from one another. But again, if you were to look at these from the side, when I am actually gripping these and holding them, the amount of room that I do get for my thumb, as you can see there, I do feel like I get more space from the G Pro Superlight just because of the fact that it is taller, but it is pretty clear to see that they are very similar to one another. Next up, when comparing it to the Incott, I have seen some people refer to this as a Superlight Mini, and I honestly feel like they're really similar in size. I don't feel like that I would call this myself personally a Mini, just kind of like I said, more of a flatter G Pro Superlight. I do kind of feel like this Incott here is closer to the actual G Pro Superlight Mini. If you were to start here at the bottom, as you can see, the side curve profile on these are incredibly similar to one another, whereas the Incott does feel a bit more narrow. And then coming over here to the rear profile, as you can see there, the Incott definitely does curve off more aggressively to the sides. So on the bottom and the top profile all around, they feel very similar in shape, but the Incott is just a bit smaller. And then finally, when looking at both of these from the side, as you can see, they have a really similar top curve profile as well. So the Incott all around is a little bit smaller, but I do feel like it does have a little bit more aggressive hump for its size. All right, then finally, we'll be comparing it to the VGN Dragonfly F1. These do look like they're very similar in size, but they do have slight differences. I do feel like, obviously, the curved profile here on the VGN Dragonfly is more aggressive to the front and the back, but when you do get down here in the center, in the most narrow point, it is just a little bit less wide than the Mchose A5. Coming over here from the back, they do have a little bit of a different curved profile from the top to the sides. And when I'm holding these in the hand on the top of the mouse of the A5, it does feel just a little bit wider to where the VGN Dragonfly feels a bit more narrow. The A5 does have a little bit smoother of a curved profile with more of a top mid hump, whereas on the VGN Dragonfly, it does just feel a little bit more flat there at the top. Alright guys, so that about wraps things up on the Mchose A5 Pro Max. Recently my channel has been under fire for being too positive, but the reality of it is when a lot of these mice are using the same sensor, the same internals, the same firmware solution, they pretty much have the same performance. And a lot of these mice even being made in the same factories, there really isn't a whole lot of bad things that you can say. I understand there's some reviewers out there that will praise a mouse and then they'll go to another mouse that uses basically all the same materials, same internals, same coding and everything and trash it. And if that's the type of channel you're into, then that's fine, have at it. But fortunately, I have a little more common sense than that. I understand you can get the same mouse as me and have a different experience as far as the build quality goes. I myself have had that happen where I got the exact same mouse, 2 different colorways, and I had a different experience. The only unfortunate thing is I can only talk about the experience that I'm currently having with the product that's in front of me. So with that being said, aside from the skates and the coating just feeling a little bit more slippery to me, I have been really enjoying this. I feel like the performance is great. And look, at the end of the day, I always feel like that the shape is king in all honesty. So if you do enjoy the G Pro Superlight shape and perhaps you were interested in getting one that is just a little bit more flat, then I would definitely say that this is a good pickup. All right guys, so if you have any questions or feel like I left anything out, please let me know down in the comments below. If you are interested in picking this up and supporting the channel, I've left affiliate links down below in the description. If you've enjoyed watching this video and are interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, please drop this video a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.